Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My guest today is Therese Cranston. And Kyle, thanks so much for being with us. And Kyle was a guest last summer. I didn't look up the episode, but we had a great conversation then, and I wanted to know more about tarot and doing readings and how you used intuition with that. And so Kyle was is going to tell us how she does it. And um, so I'm going to read her biography here a little bit so you can know more about her. And so Kyle is an intuitive spiritual consultant who channels profound messages from angels, spirit guides, departed loved ones, and the archangels, offering divine insight, healing, and clarity. She helps her clients uncover answers that are buried deep within and align with their highest truth. And I lost my place here. Her sessions are designed to awaken your inner knowing and light the path ahead. And she brings that wisdom and intuition to every session she holds. And she has several certifications in card reading and numerology and angel guides. Her website is Kyle Therese Cranston. And Kyle, thank you again so much. And I was really looking forward to, for several months, I've wanted to know more about how to use intuition, both to if you were doing the reading yourself, but also for someone receiving it, and
Right.
to
And
how
of course, I left my go-to tarot deck upstairs. So I'm so mad at myself, but I do have one down here I can use. I might just do some examples. So mad at myself that I did that. Um, so I just brought some cards out just so I like to kind of walk people through what I do.
Mhm.
So basically, just I've been reading tarot since I was 15. I'm 45 years old. And when I first started out, when you first start out, you just kind of memorize the guidebook. That's what you do. Like a lot of people do. There's nothing wrong with that. But I always found that like my readings were really on for other people, but for myself, they never were. But this is also because I get in my own head. So that's, a whole other issue. So when it comes to me, I have a hard time reading for myself. I think a
well
lot of readers do.
and not just
Yeah.
readers, like even with my biofield work, it's I can tune myself. I can do a session on myself, but it's like it doesn't go near as deep.
Hmm.
It's kind of more of a surface, and it helps. Everything helps, but you just can't do yourself at the same time because you have your mind and your emotions, and you're
Hmm.
just too divided, I think, to for it to be as beneficial.
And you're invested like so much in the outcome. And not that I'm not invested in the outcome for my clients. I always want the best for them. But it's definitely like when you're pulling cards, you're like, oh, I hope I get this. I hope I get that. Like I don't want the three of swords. Like, no way. So so basically, I started working with I just had some different mentors along the way. And I really connected with this he's the creator of Angel Tarot, and that's Radley Valentine. I really connected with his decks because not only did it kind of open the world to angels for me, because that was something I was very afraid of because of like religious trauma, as a kid, growing up in the Catholic Church. But as soon as I started using his decks, things just started jumping out at me. And I taught myself to read not based on the definition of the card. Like you always have that in the back of your mind, but I go with what jumps out at me. So like there was one time I was reading for somebody, just to give a couple examples. And I was reading for somebody on a Facebook Live. So this isn't like a private story. And I pulled the Hierophant, and then the Hierophant card in one of his decks, there's two keys. And of course, I left my deck upstairs. There's two keys that are hanging on on the angel's belt. And I'll like usually the Hierophant means like finding your community, finding like people that are like minded. Sometimes it has to do with like a religious community. But in this one, all I could focus on were these 2 keys, and I was just like, "You're trying to make a big purchase. You're trying to decide between 2 homes or 2 cars." I couldn't figure out which one because she was just typing in. I wasn't, like, talking to her face to face. I
Mhm.
was like, "You're trying to make a decision between 2 different, like, huge purchases that require a key." I'm thinking car or house, and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely." And that's how it's just one of the ways you read intuitively. You read with what jumps out at you
Mm.
by looking at the card. And one of the big tricks to do that is to first thing you want to do is you want to find a deck that really resonates with you, with the colors, with the images. You want one that like things will jump out at you. I know some readers that really like darker decks. I can't do that. I need bright colors. I need big images. I need big, bold things because those are the things that jump out at me. Like I can't use the Toth deck because it's just like circles.
Huh.
That doesn't work for me. That like it just doesn't. For some people though it does. I had a tarot teacher who she would look at that and she would be like, "Oh, that looks like a bear." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "What?" Um, and the cool thing about that is you can use that with oracle cards too. It's not just a tarot trick.
Mhm.
But so that's my huge thing is I teach intuitive tarot. I've taught, classes at Village Witch. I'm probably going to do like an online workshop. I just have to kind of get it together. And I teach like this 2-hour course. And the key is to kind of have that knowledge of the guidebook, but also really go on with your intuition, like what is jumping out at you. Because once that things start jumping out at me, that's when I start hearing things and seeing things and feeling things. Like I have a cool example. I have a different deck down here that I have to show you, um, which is what I did. Of course, I have to like look for the card, but this is an animal deck. That's another Radley Valentine. It's Animal Guides Tarot, and it's a cute one. It's very cute, especially if you like animals. It's a great one. But I did a reading for somebody, and I had like the coolest hit, and it was somebody she was dating she was in a new relationship. It was this one. She was is the renewal card. But if you look at these 3 raccoons here, she was in a new relationship, and I was just like in that beautiful purple butterfly, and I said to her, I was like, your new partner and one of your kids are going to have a very special bond. The 3 of you. I'm thinking it's like your daughter because she has a few kids. But I'm like, I'm thinking it's your daughter. It's your youngest because I was looking at the baby raccoon. And I was just like, he and her and you, it's going to be like the 3 amigos because she has older kids that are kind of out of the house. And that ended up like happening. Have a very tight relationship once they met. And the renewal card really talks about like your life purpose. The renewal card is it's like the judgment card in tarot. Radley has different names for tarot. So usually it means like renewal, forgiveness. But for that, I just saw like a beautiful, happy family. So that's kind of how, and then that purple butterfly just kind of solidified it and just all the growth and just looking at how cute and happy the raccoons were. So that's just like an example of kind of how I do it. I didn't get at all the vibes. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't look at a card and not get the vibes of the traditional definition. That does happen. But when you use your intuition, it just opens the door for so much more with reading. Did you have any questions? I have like a ton of stuff I can cover, or you can ask questions along the way, or.
Yeah, well, I guess just keep going, but because I'm relating so much to just reading the guide because I hadn't done much with tarot. A year ago, I was pulled at a metaphysical fair to buy a certain deck and so and I'm very confident on pulling the right cards. I mean, I can tell which card to pull, right? But
Mhm.
it's like in reading it, it's or like in maybe I'm still too scared of it or something, of trusting in it because I just go to the guide and read the guide, and it's like I don't use the intuition that I use in my other work. I mean,
Mhm.
it should make total sense just to do that, but it's a leap I haven't been able to make yet.
I do know sometimes people have like a little bit of nervousness when it comes to tarot, but sometimes they are not as afraid of oracle cards.
Hmm.
So, if for anyone that's afraid with tarot, my suggestion would be to find an oracle deck that you connect with, and start there and start using your intuition there. And then when you're ready, jump into tarot, and it's going to translate, because it's the same thing with oracle, because oracles all have like they all have different definitions based on the author. That's what the cool thing about oracle cards is, they're all so different. It's based on whoever created the cards. It's based on what's on the images. It's based on the definition. But I do, like, if you started using an oracle deck, I have several. You can go with that and start there, and then jump into tarot. If you're just, because I don't know why people are afraid of tarot versus oracle. I see them as the same. They're just different.
Mm-hmm.
They're just different setup. They have a different setup. That's all. But I read both. Like when I read for somebody, I'll pull from like 6 decks.
Oh
Like,
wow.
yeah.
So the difference between tarot and oracle is what you just said, that the oracle, it isn't based on the history or the ancient tradition of the tarot, but it's however the author wants to set it up. And it is it also for more encouragement versus like determining really what's going on, or
Oh
what?
no,
No.
I don't see it like that at all. It depends. Like you can find a deck that's very encouraging. Like there's absolutely decks out there that are like the happy deck. Like, there's all kinds of different decks out there. But I have this really cool one by Denise Lynn. She's another mentor of mine, and she's super cool. But her cards, I mean, there's some that like Healing Chaos is a really cool card. It's probably hard to see, but it's like a big tornado, but there's like butterflies flying around on the outside of the tornado, and it's about how your life is going to be turned upside down. However, there's going to be a great healing that comes with it. This is actually very similar to the Tower card in original tarot. It's just kind of her, but she's very into nature. So, and she's also she's part Cherokee, so she's very into nature, and she does a lot of her oracle decks have like a tie to like the natural world, as well as like old Native American like just animal symbols and that kind of stuff. So she's really interesting in that way. Like but I mean, so I'm looking at their, like, trying to find what there's like anyone that's like kind of, I mean, I honestly feel like that tarot and oracle cards are just, you're right. They're not, so oracle cards are not based, they don't have a fixed number system like tarot does. Tarot has like a fixed number system. Most of the time, the Tower card has the same definition as the Tower card in every deck. One of the reasons why I like Radley Valentine is so much is because he kind of took some of those scarier cards like death is awakening, and death is release, and the Tower is, in this one, or judgment is renewal instead of judgment. I'm so mad at myself for leaving I have like one of his decks that I use. It's like my go-to deck, and I can't believe I left it upstairs. But he just it's just really cool how he kind of takes those scarier cards that people are like a little afraid of and makes them a little bit softer. And his definitions are really funny. If you look in his guidebook, they're hilarious. Like he just cracks me up. So he's a really fun, if you're nervous to start with tarot, he's a great one to look at his decks, especially if you're into angels. Like if you're not, then he has the animal deck, which he has, but he also has like several angel decks, which are really cool. He also has a fairy deck too, which I don't use a ton because I'm more of like an angel girl. I know some people that are really into fairies, but he kind of has like this cool fairy deck that people really love if you're a fairy person. And but where was I going with this? Sorry, I get really ADD. So yes, you're correct. It is fixed on the old system. Tarot has what's called the major and minor arcana. So the major arcana are like, it's like the Fool card. It's like 0 through 21, I want to say, through the world, 21 or 22. And then they have kings and queens, pages, and then they have aces through 10 for each element. Whereas oracle cards, it's whatever the creator wants to do. The creator does it's whoever. It's like they're all, and that's what cool. That's why so many authors might have several oracle decks because one might be based in nature, one might be based in like ancestors, one might be based in future. I have an oracle deck that's past life. That's like a past life deck.
Hmm.
That's really cool,
Hmm.
which I actually use for blockages,
Hmm.
which is fun. I use that one instead of using it for like past life stuff because I don't really do past life readings yet. I'm not there yet. I hope to get there someday. That's a very special skill set. I use that whenever somebody's struggling. I'm like, what is their blockage here? And it's always on. It always gives me like what they're struggling with, and then how. So that way we can go from there. I like to do soul coaching with Oracle too. So I know I'm getting a little off topic. And Denise Lynn has a great soul coaching deck where you're kind of digging deep into like what the person, it's like their higher self wants to know. But I do soul coaching with tarot too, because I love tarot so much. But where so oracle cards don't have like the kings and queens or the major arcana. Now with the major or minor arcana, this is kind of where I'm a little bit different. So people always kind of say that the major arcana is like based on like the big moments in your life, like big life events, and they're very significant. When I read tarot, all the cards are significant. I don't care if it's a major arcana or a minor arcana. Like that card is significant and there for a reason. I don't kind of separate the two. That's
Yeah,
the one thing I do a little different.
yeah, I can see that. I mean, because it is. That's why you're drawing it, right?
They
Yeah.
say like the major or the like the minor arcana is like spiritual lessons, and like the major arcana is like reflects or the major arcana represents life spiritual lessons, and the minor arcana reflects everyday experiences and challenges. I
Mm-hmm.
don't buy into that, but that's just me. I read them all as important.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I don't say like, oh, you got like all these like different major arcana cards. This is a huge reading. No, to me, it's like they're all important. They all have equal value because they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
They're all very different. So yeah, so some of the different things you can do when you're reading tarot intuitively, I'm looking at my notes that I used, is looking at the card, looking at colors, looking at what jumps out at you. What impressions do you get when you pull the card? Do you see like anything that relates to you? Like sometimes I'll hear song lyrics if I pull a card. I'm like, ooh. Sometimes just a past experience might have you like you might tell like an antidote to somebody like, oh, you know what, like I see you pulled this card and this reminds me of a time when this happened to me, and that can sometimes help jar something.
Mm-hmm.
There's just lots of different things you can look at. The some of the ones that have words and phrases on them, for me, when I pull a card that has a word or phrase on it, certain words are like highlighted to
Mm-hmm.
me. That's just how my eye goes. And I'll look at like a keyword or phrase, and the one that jumps out at me is where my springboard. And then I start talking and I start channeling from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I do it. So I honestly think there's value in knowing the guidebook and knowing what they mean, having that basic knowledge of what each card means. There's like 78 cards, so it takes a while to memorize, but I've been doing it half my life. But also really kind of knowing when to step back and be like, no, this situation is not the original card. There's something else here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll pull the sun card sometimes, and the sun card usually means like joy, happiness, epiphanies, and at least it does in Radley's deck in his Angel Wisdom Tarot deck. But sometimes I'll pull it. I pulled it for somebody one time, and instead of seeing like happily ever after, I saw like there's three sunflowers, two of them are together and one of them's apart. And I was like, there's conflict with like this third person. Even though I had the sun card, which is one of the best cards in the deck, all I could see was those sunflowers and how it was like two against one. And I was like, there's
Mm-hmm.
conflict with this third person. And she knew exactly what I was talking about. So that's kind of how I read. It's just what zeroes in on me. And also, too, I have really bad ADD, and that's my superpower because I'll focus. I'll like hyper focus,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll like look around until something jumps out at me, and then I start kind of spiraling from there in a good way. So yeah, so I'm trying to look at some of the notes to make sure I covered everything so far. Yeah, just looking at the cards, seeing what jumps out at you, and then there's also different things you can do. Um, I am going to talk about some tips for reading intuitively. Do you want me to go there?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. However you want to go.
Okay.
I mean, it's all so interesting.
Okay. If you want to interrupt me, please feel free. I have So the first thing, like I said, I do is you pick a deck that resonates with you, and then you want to connect to your cards. There's different ways to do that. There's, putting them on your altar. I know Denise Lynn suggests like taking one card a day and like really looking at that card, reading the definition, holding it to your heart and asking it to tune to you while you sleep, and putting it on your nightstand, like on like a little like tarot thing that keeps the cards up thing, and letting that sit overnight while you sleep. And it's going to integrate with you while you sleep. There's just talking to your team, your guides, and figuring like, let's connect with this deck. I always hold them to my heart and say, please, thank you for being a vessel of truth. Thank you for, I'm holding the box to my chest, to my heart right now. Thank you and I always thank them. Thank you for having the proper cards come up for my client's highest good, for my highest good. Thank you for having words and phrases jumping out at me. Thank you for just being a beacon of light and truth and love. And I just say like a little prayer to like tune my cards, and I shuffle them really good. I clear them with selenite. So I put like selenite sticks on them after I do readings. You can clear them with like a sound bowl too, or a singing bowl. I do that as well. So, when you want to read intuitively, after you have your deck and you're tuned to your cards, one of the first things you want to do is open your chakras. I do that before every reading. I open my chakras and make sure they're all online. There's different ways to do that. That's a whole other, it's like a whole other podcast. And then you want to breathe and just connect to your team, your angels, guides, loved ones in spirit, whoever you connect with, your counsel. Connect with them, ask them to give you the proper messages for your highest good or your client's highest good. Connect with your client if you're reading for someone else, with their team, and this could be done quick. Just, thank you for connecting, that kind of thing. And whatever prayer you say, everyone has like a different prayer. And then ask the cards to, have things jump out at me, and then ask your question and then shuffle. And I do suggest to avoid yes or no questions, because that is very confusing. You want to phrase them about like, instead of saying, will I find a relationship? What is the energy around me finding a relationship this year? What is the energy around me finding one next year? Don't yes or no. It's just too confusing. Use a pendulum for that. You know what I mean? Because it's going to get confusing, because every time you ask a yes or no question, it's just, you're going to be like, well, what is it? Yes or no? Like, it's just really confusing. So, and lots of different teachers suggest that too, to avoid the yes or no's. Rephrase it, and then you shuffle in the way that feels best for you. Some people like to fan the cards out and pick them. I shuffle and do like a weird thing where I shuffle till I feel ready. I knock on them. I make sure they're clear. And then I do my little Vegas shuffle. And then I kind of do a thing where I go to where, like, I'm going to show you. I close my eyes and I just kind of feel, and I cut the deck. And that's the card. That's how I do it. But no way is wrong. And I know some people that will just shuffle until cards fall out. And they'll pull the cards that fall out. I mean, everybody has their own method, and you got to do what's comfortable and feels right for you.
Well, I can see. I was trying to do a reading, and it was like, I shuffled and one fell out, right? And I put it back in because I didn't feel I was done shuffling, and so it fell out again. And then, so I put it back in, and then I like to just spread it across the table and put my hands over it and pick one. And it was the one I picked, of course.
So that's called a jumper. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's called a jumper. When like one card just falls out of the deck when you're shuffling, always pull that card and like set it aside, and then still pull your card. But that's 9 times out of 10 is what the angels want you to know, or your guides want you to know. But you could also be a clarifier too. So I always pull that and set it aside, and then I keep shuffling and I still pull one, but then I look at both of them.
Okay. All right.
But if you lose like 2 or more, that's just clumsy shuffling, is what a tarot teacher I studied with once said. But if you get like 1, and sometimes even 2, like those are what you're supposed to, I mean, look at that. You pulled it 3 times. It came out 3 times.
Yeah.
You were meant to have that card.
I was.
And your team was like, no, this is what you're meant to have. We're trying to make it easy on you, but you're gonna make it
Yeah,
difficult. So we're gonna make sure you got it. I think that's awesome.
that's
You can't
right.
make it up, is what they always say. You can't make this stuff up, is what my mentor Radley always says. So,
So
go ahead.
one one question I had is how much I don't know what the word is, stock, how much um of your personal life decisions, whatever that you're coming to get a reading for, um, how much do a lot of people, or how much do you advise that someone use the reading results in helping them make that decision? I
So
mean,
I always
is it black and white? This is how I need to do it. This is meant for me. It's exactly it, or is it? Yeah. What do you
it's
do?
every reading is different that I do for somebody. So what I like to do is we'll look out. So like I always like to preface this is the given energies right now. The future, you can always take a different course and change your future, but this is the outcome given the energies right now, given the path you're on. One thing I do like to do is if someone, let's say like somebody's like in a relationship that they're struggling with, I'll be like, okay, well, let's look at if you break it off or if you stay. Like let's look at both ways. And then if they get like an answer that they're like, oh, we don't like that, I'm like, well, how can we change it? What are some things we can do? That's where the soul coaching comes in. What are things that you can do to maybe change it? Let's look at the, the outcome if you take these steps. Like I had somebody that really wanted a relationship once, but she needed some therapy, and I was like, the reason why you're not meeting somebody is because you need to heal. And that was coming out through loud and clear. But let's look at, okay, you do the work, you get a therapist and you start working. Let's look at the energy around a relationship like later this year or next year.
Yeah.
And the outcome was so much better. That's
Hmm.
why I love to do that. To look at different, that's why I love doing the soul coaching piece, which I incorporate into most of my readings, unless they're doing like mediumship. Um, so I incorporate that into, like, let's look at it. Okay, you don't like that it says that you're single and going to be single for a while. How can we change that? What do you think you can do to change that? And I loved it. And she was just like, you're right. I do need to see like a therapist and I need to work some stuff out because there was like trust issues. Because you're going to keep making the same pattern. You're going to keep choosing the wrong people until you heal what needs to be healed. So that's what I like to do. I like to kind of look at different outcomes and how, if you don't like that, how can we change it? Or if you do like it, how can we stay on that path?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, and then once you pull your cards, I always have like the things like what images jump out, colors, how do you feel? Numbers are huge, especially if you have a numerology, or you can use regular numerology, you can use angel numerology, or you can use like tarot numbers to
Mm.
have like that gives you more insight to the card.
Hmm.
um does the traditional meaning of the card resonate? And like I said, when I looked at that renewal card, it did it. When I pulled it for that couple, I was like, no, it's not about renewal, this is something about like a family. um think about your senses. Some people really get senses, like what do you see, feel, hear. I hear things a lot, and I this is really cool. I was always a clear as a clairaudience, but now I'm starting to see, which is cool.
Hmm.
I'm starting to get flashes, which is I love. It's really fun. So I'm still hearing, but now I'm seeing things, which is really neat.
Hmm.
That's fun how the more you do this, the different skill sets kind of develop, especially when you
Right.
start using your intuition, because you'll see something and it will spark an image,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
neat.
Definitely.
Um, and just looking at the different symbols too, because there's different symbol meanings in tarot. Like the scales usually mean balance. There's different. What are some other symbols in here? I don't think this one has a lot of symbols in it. Oh yeah, owl, wisdom. Blue butterfly. A blue butterfly is transformation. So this
Okay.
is the high priestess, and this is wisdom. Like, so to me, this card, a lot of times, I mean, it could be different based on the situation, but just pulling it in general is, the more wisdom you have is gonna open your intuition, and you're gonna go through like this beautiful change where you just connect to spirit and your skills develop. You know what I mean? If I'm pulling this, that's what this usually means. It's like divine intuition. It's just knowledge and just learning everything you can. and just trusting and then things unfolding. And a lot of times I get this for somebody who is like deeply psychic or they know the answer to their question already and they just can't. They're just kind of blocked. So yeah, looking at just like the different, just different symbols and what different animals represent. Like if you see a ram is Aries, it's stubborn, it's fire energy. You see like a fish, that's water energy, feelings, emotion, that kind of thing. Whenever I see a dolphin, to me, dolphin is communication. That's just like my
Mhm.
little definition because dolphins communicate with humans. Like, so I see a dolphin, I'm like, okay, this either communication stuff or good, like, oh, you're gonna have great communication with this person, or like you got to work on communication, depending on the situation. So
I like how the universe always brings, like, the skill sets you bring to the table, plus the skill set or the knowledge of the person you're working with. And
mhm.
someone else could do it. Like if I was doing it for the same person, I would bring mine. And so the results would always be this, basically the same or toward the same focus, but the universe makes it work for whatever skill set you bring to the table. I
I agree. I definitely agree with that, and I also think that the more you do it, the more, because I know people that can see, they see things but they don't hear, but like it's just they're hearing. They started hearing things like just different, the different they call the different clairs start developing. The more you do it, and the more you work with your spirit team. Another really cool thing you can do for reading for yourself, this is what I kind of have to do because I am way too in my head about it, is I automatic write. I pull a card for my question and I have my journal next to me and I just start writing without even thinking what jumps out at me. And I kind of open that dialogue with spirit to get the answers that I need. Like what is jumping out at me? What are the colors? Like what am I feeling as I'm looking at it and, and relating to my question? And that really helps. If you don't trust automatic writing, like if you get into in your head about it, try it writing with your non-dominant hand. It's very difficult, but
yeah.
that crosses like some kind of barrier, and it really helps get you out of your head. It really does. I found I can still write with my dominant hand, and I find that really helps me when I start writing. And it just gets me out of my head, and I don't overthink it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But that's just when I read for myself. Like with other people, I don't overthink it. That's the thing. That's
Right.
the
Well,
beauty of it.
yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah.
So automatic writing is great if you're struggling with, if like, oh my gosh, I'm second guessing this, or I'm too close to it. And then also have friends that are readers. Because
Hmm.
Jennifer, we are constantly like texting each other, hey, can you pull a card on this? Like probably at least twice a week. And we do it for each other and then we record it. So another thing too is cool is when you pull a card, you can just record like you like interpreting the card
Hmm.
and just talking too. And you'll be really surprised at just like what you channel. Like opening it and letting you kind of channel it and just put on your voice recorder and be like, I see these three hummingbirds. And to me, these three hummingbirds are doing X, Y, and Z. And these flowers, this white flower means purity. And I know pink means joy. And like, and then you just start kind of talking and you'll see like what comes out. But she and I do that for each other all the time. Like we have all these voice memos back and forth with each other. I love it. Um, so yeah. And then another cool thing you can do is I learned this in a witch deck I have. This I think it's called the Witch's Hour Oracle. Is before you the way to connect with your deck is to interview it and ask it interview questions and pull cards on the different questions and just journal. And it kind of helps you. It's like the questions are like, what's your personality like? What's your strength? What's your weakness? How can you help me grow? And different card decks might have like different questions to ask in like the guidebook. Like some of them might be like, how to connect with your cards, or but I really like this interview. It's like what's the best way to work with you? What will our relationship be like? And I did a class and we did this and they loved it. They really had fun with it.
Huh.
Interviewing their deck. And then I'm not gonna go, it was fun.
Sounds like questions we should all ask people if we go on a date.
Right.
No,
Yeah, because
starting it. thinking of
Yeah.
starting a new relationship? Those would be
It
good
is
questions.
though. Like your cards, you do have a relationship with your cards. Like
Yeah.
treat my cards are my babies. They're my precious. I always like to say, my precious. Um, and then I'm not going to go through all like there's different major keywords in for all the major and minor arcana, but that will take
Mm,
a long time. So they're all like, people can look those up. There's all different things like chariot, like is willpower victory. I'm not going to go through all that because that's a lot. It's going to take me like 20 minutes just to do that. Um, so another thing you can do is that will help you is like numerology. If you have a numerology background at all, or angel numerology, or even understand tarot numbers, that's another thing you can do with the cards. Like if you pull a 4 in regular numerology, depending on which one you use, I do angel numerology because I'm an angel girl. But I know people that do use numerology, and 4 is building something, foundation, grounding yourself, stability, security, trustworthiness, sometimes boredom, but like adulting, how you have to, be an adult, right?
mhm,
So, but angel numerology, it's the archangels have your back. Just ask, they
mm,
got you. And then in tarot numbers 4 is stability, structure, foundations, very similar to the numerology, order, discipline, security. So knowing those numbers also helps you because when I pull a card, I always look at the number to see if those number meanings can help me interpret the
mm.
card. And
Okay.
usually it does. Usually it does. Like 9 times out of 10. Like if I get a 2, there's always some kind of partnership thing. 2 is like partnership or you don't have to do an angel numerology, you don't have to do it alone, spirit your partner, but in regular it's like cooperativeness, harmony, partnership, understanding, that kind of thing. Relationships, those. So just knowing those numbers even strengthens your intuition because you see those numbers and that will jar different things too.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that's another cool tip. And then another cool thing you can do is colors. Because, like I said, when I was talking about the flowers, different colors represent different things. Like red is like passion and action.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be anger. Sometimes it can be
Right.
vitality. Um, Orange is like intuition, courage, sexuality, health. Like, think the different chakras too. Those can
Mhm.
help with like
Right.
so knowing those colors and what jumps out at you, like, why am I really focused on the like, there's like this cool horse here, but I'm really focused on the fact that the horse is brown. And brown is like earth, practical, reliable, like connection to animals and nature. So the king of earth, it's like the king of earth is like a really reliable, really great person to work for. The king of earth is a great dad. They're very grounded.
Mm.
They love the natural world. They're an earth sign. They're like a Capricorn. So just kind of knowing that too helps your intuition even more because you have that in the back of your mind. It's a lot to take in, but I've
No,
been
no,
doing this for
no, but
years.
your
So
card, that card you're showing,
yeah, the
right?
King Earth.
So, I know you were, I don't know if it was the horse that jumped out at you or you were just doing it for an example, but the whole time you were reading about the horse, to me, my eyes are focused on the leaves or the greenery above. And so
Ooh.
what does, I meant plants speak to me a lot more
Yeah,
than,
and that's
right?
awesome. That's another one of my topics. So the grapes harvest, and if you look below too, there's the harvest there, the bountiful harvest without below, but grapes usually mean like growth, like you've planted the seeds because wine takes such a long time to grow. You've planted your vineyard and they've come to fruition. Because think about it, grapes usually grow like do they grow on trees or are they? I always seen
No,
grapes in a
it's a
vineyard.
vine. It's a vine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you
But
look at
it's,
it, it's up in the air, which is interesting, and then the flower, those oranges are apples.
but
The flower.
the vines are trained on trellises, so
Mm,
you could have it go up, 4 foot or something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So it's just the perspective of the person who
Yeah, but,
drew
like,
the card or
growth,
painted it.
peace too. I know some people like gardening is peaceful, but I do have other, do I have plants on here? I think I do. Yeah, I have I have flowers and plants on here. So, let's see. Vines and ivy, growth, endurance, entanglement, attachment, dependency, tenacity. different things for those. Um, I have fruit on here because I know these are fruit. I should add fruit trees. That's a good one. I have flowers, plants, roses, lilies, sunflowers, vines, wheat, poppies, oak trees, laurel wreaths, garden imagery, cultivation, luxury, self-reliance, seeds planted, enjoying the rewards of your efforts. Herbs can be healing, protection, spiritual work. So yeah, you would probably do great if you did like a they have like there's some witchy decks that are like the witches like herb
I
or
use an herb deck for,
yeah,
and then I have a tree angel deck. And
nice.
then my third deck, I only have 3, I think. The third one is wildflowers. Yeah,
That sounds
wild
beautiful. I
plants.
have over 70.
Cool, very cool. But it was
So,
like, now I don't, you're again, now this goes into the intuition. So you, while you were talking about the grapes, my mind goes to yesterday in the garden. Well, I should say it started this winter, my husband and I, because we've always had one row of grapevines, and then we have 2 or 3, no, we have 4 other rows of blackberries and raspberries. And but the grapevines, the grapes produce just a smaller amount, and you can't use them as much. You can't just throw them in the freezer and then put them in a smoothie because they all had seeds in them, right? So
mm,
we had to, we would use a colander and get the juice out of them, and you could freeze them and then get the juice out of them. But that's all that came to me to use it for, right? And whereas blackberries and raspberries, you can use all the time for many things. And so we had decided, okay, I'm just going to cut out the grapevines this year. And we always have raspberries and blackberries coming up from suckering from new roots. So I was going to plant those along the vine so we would have just more fruit in general. And so I cut down my grapevines yesterday and transplanted the raspberries. And it's like, so what you were saying, the grapevines, and I was saying, oh, to me, my emotion was going, oh, maybe they're meant for growth. Maybe I wasn't supposed to cut them down. But then the inner voice, right, the intuition spoke real strongly and saying, I set them free, their spirit free to help me in other ways.
ooh, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. So
I
for
don't know how that
you,
works, but
that's cool. So for you, when you pull, like if you have like a grape, you might see something different.
yeah.
You know, what I mean? I see because I'm a big wine person. I see growth. I see like harvest. But
Hmm.
you might see something different, like, oh, these take forever to grow and they're not very useful. You might want to focus on other things. Like you might pull over somebody and be like, the message, like, you might want to focus on something else that can bring you more fulfillment. Like you might get that message because you have a different association,
Well, and that's the
you
only
know?
way any of us can approach any intuitive work that we do, right?
Hmm.
Is through our own perspective, our
Yeah.
own, how we interpret life, how we grew up, and what we are, our old stories, right? Or our
Yeah.
experiences. Yeah. We all do it different ways. Yeah.
And that's also what makes us very empathic too, which even helps even
Right.
more, especially if you have somebody that's really struggling.
Yeah.
So yeah, colors, animals, you can look at the different animals. Like rabbits usually mean abundance and
Mm,
fertility.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
For Easter time, spring, Easter,
mhm.
the other religions that use those a lot. Yeah.
Lions are like courage. Sometimes I'll see like a lion and I'll say, oh, if I'm reading, if they're like wanting to check about a relationship or they're hoping to meet somebody. If I see a lion, I'm gonna get like, okay, either this person is a Leo or you're gonna meet them in the season of Leo.
Oh.
That's a cool
Hmm.
message you could get sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, because that to me, like the lion is also astrology based, which I have another section on astrology.
Right.
Cats are like independence, intuition. I was grabbing a couple different ones on here. Like I did rabbits. Ram is determination, removing obstacles. It's also Aries. Just different animals. They all have different things that just you're just like what you see. You might get like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. This is like a very stubborn person. I have all I
Hmm.
can focuses on this ram. They're very stubborn. Like they're gonna get their way, kind of thing. Um, and then I kind of did the flowers and plants a little bit. One is a great one is like the sunflowers is like joy,
Mhm.
vitality. But like I told you with that, when I saw the 3 sunflowers, all I could see
Mhm.
was the one that was like, oh, turned away from the other 2. And I knew there was
Right.
conflict. So that's why it's so different for every, and this is me with tarot, you know what I mean? Like where they already
Mhm.
have like their standard definition and I just went with what my gut, with what my intuition told me.
Mhm.
Um, you can use the nature elements, so like water, depending on, so like cups is water, water is like
Okay.
emotions, fire is like the wands, which is like creativity. It could also be destruction or passion. Earth is like stability, material matters, money, that's pentacles. Air is like intellect, communication, conflict, that's the swords. And then sun and moon, like clarity versus mystery, light versus shadow. Mountains, a lot of times
Mhm.
those mean like obstacles,
Okay.
or
Mhm.
challenges, overcoming challenges. And then you can use too, if you see, like I just kind of mentioned earlier, if you see a certain animal, or my deck, my Angel Wisdom Tarot deck has astrology signs on it, which is awesome. That even helps it
Mhm.
even more. It helps with timing and like personality traits and that kind of stuff. So if you pull something like, let's say you pull, I want to find something that has like a astrology thingy in here. Mm, I don't know if I have any. I might not have any in this deck. Um, try to see if I can find like anything that's like a, here we go. Yeah, here's 2 ram. Oh, it is the ram, huh? The 5 of fire, ram. Ram, we already know is fire, like stubborn. Usually the 5 of fire is also the 5 of wands.
Mhm.
That's like conflict. So you can look here and see like these 2 are butting heads. There's the storm cloud overneath, there's lightning, there's and this could also be like, is this person you're arguing with an Aries? You might have some conflict with somebody during the Aries season. So if you're doing it like with astrology in mind, that kind of thing. That's just kind of how like the astrology piece
Mhm.
works in. And there
Right.
actually are astrology tarot decks, which are cool. So any questions right now?
No, I guess not. My herbal astrology deck, they come with the, yeah, that's what it is, herbal astrology. So
That's fine.
each card, I'll just put the first one. They at the top, they all
Oh,
have their
neat.
astrology sign that is associated with them, and then they have, of course, the herb, but then they also have the animal guide
Yep,
that
I see that
has the same
owl.
energies as the plant.
Just looking at that card without even seeing it, I'm just seeing wisdom. I know mugwort, and a witchy, that helps protect, right? Is
Mhm.
mugwort protection. So just looking at there, I'm seeing like without seeing mugwort, I'm just seeing like wisdom, um, knowledge, and then I see the word mugwort, and that automatically helps me think of
Mm.
protection. I'm not sure what the definition of
Mhm.
that card is. I don't know if I got it.
Right. Oh, I'd have to look in the
Okay.
in the book. I just haven't taken the time to get to know them. I mean, I like them, I use them, but I
Those are
haven't
cool.
don't have them memorized for at all.
Those are really beautiful. So my next topic was going to be spreads, tarot
Good,
spreads.
good.
I don't use tarot spreads
Well,
unless.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the only thing I do is spread them out in a fan shape or whatever, and
Mhm.
put my hands over it and select one. Yeah, I've read about spreads, but I don't know anything about doing it that way.
I use them if somebody, so I have some friends that will create like a new moon or full moon spread, or the membership group I'm in of Bradley Valentine's is he gives a spread of the month that has to do with his topic of the month. I use spreads for those, but those are for self reading. When I'm reading for someone else, I don't use spreads because I just ask the question and get a card.
Mhm.
And if I
Right.
don't, if I need more clarification, I'll ask for a clarifier card.
Okay.
But I do it question per question, and we'll look at this, or we'll look at that, or we'll look at future outcome, and we'll look at obstacles. Because I'll do the different things you would do in a spread just one by one. So I might shuffle and say like, okay, So like for that lady that wanted a relationship, I was like, okay, so we pulled like what is like the future of the relationship, like within this year, and I got like a not so great card. So I was like, okay, let's change this. How do you want to change this? What are some things you think you might need therapy? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's look at what if she does therapy and does this healing? What is the energy around bringing in a relationship after doing this work? And the whole outcome changed. So instead of doing a spread, I just asked a question in my poll. But that's
Interest.
just me. Some
Yeah.
people love spreads.
Well,
There's nothing
that's
wrong with that.
yeah, but that's exactly what, say, I would do with dowsing. I would use my dowsing rods and ask questions like that, and you get and I would the answer would typically be yes or no, but you can ask those questions or how many or what direction, and but that's how I use my dowsing rods.
I thought
Interesting.
dowsing rods were only for haunted stuff. I have a set. I
Oh,
don't know, you can use them like a pendulum.
oh yeah.
Oh, I need to do that because I struggle with pendulums because I kind of I think I my pendulums get mad at me. I need to try dowsing rods. Is it crossed yes or no? Does it matter or do you ask it?
Um,
Show me a
the
yes, show me a no.
the yeses, they spread wide open.
Okay.
The no's are closed.
Thank you. I'm gonna try that because I have a set I got from the Flint Hills Fair. So, but there's lots of great spreads out there. There's books that are just on spreads if people like spreads. And I do like spreads for myself. But when I'm reading for someone, I just ask question after question. And I like to
Mhm.
pull from different decks. Like I'll pull like, okay, let's look at your obstacles. I go to my obstacle deck. Let's look at like I have two tarot decks that are like my two go-tos. Let's look at you want to talk to your guardian angels. I got my guardian angel deck. You want to, find out like how you can do this. Let's do that. Like
Mm,
I go with what I have a guide that kind of highlights the decks. I just kind of feel like I
mhm.
look and it's almost like pick me, pick me. And that's how I decide which deck to use. And I'll use like 6 or 7 decks in a reading.
Okay. So it's kind of like many other things, right? The more you know, the more the universe can use your intuition.
Yeah,
I mean, and they're not the same. They do different things, of course,
hmm,
but I think the more knowledge you have also opens the doors so that you can see further.
right. And I like to use different decks because I have like different decks for different things. And sometimes if I'm reading for somebody that's not, because I read, I read at a witch shop, and I sometimes get people in there that are very anti-angel, and rightfully
Okay.
so. And I
Hmm.
totally respect that. I was very anti-angel until I realized they're non-binary. They love everybody. Religion claims angels. Angels are not associated with any religion. They love
No.
they're non-binary. Like they're fun fact. Like they are, they're not, that kind of thing. So but if someone is anti-angel, instead of using my angel tarot, I have light seers tarot or I have a witchy
Mm,
tarot deck that I can
okay.
use. So
Hmm.
I'll just switch it up, same thing. They're still the guardians. They still want to help. It's just I phrase things differently. Like these
Sure.
are the guardians. This is what your spirit team wants you to know, and then instead of like the angels, because I want to respect everybody, but I love working with the angels. I do.
Hmm.
I just think they're lovely. They're so fun to work with, especially with mediumship. I love working with Asriel. So so yeah, that's the thing on spreads. There's different spreads. There's all you can find them online. There's all kinds of spreads, but and then I kind of touched on the questions. I know we got to wrap up. Just if you're asking about, just don't do yes or no questions. Just say like, what do I need to know about this? What is the energy around this? If you're trying to find a timing thing, just say like, what is the energy around finding love in the next 4 months or finding love this year? That kind of thing. Try to include the timing in your reading. What lessons do I need to learn? What's blocking me? What is the potential outcome? Those are the different things I like to ask when I'm reading.
Hmm.
And if you pull a card, and this happens to me all the time, even though I'm a veteran reader, sometimes I'll pull a card and I'm like, okay, I'm having a hard time getting something from there. I'll pull a clarifier. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
team, I'm like, angels, I am not picking up what you're throwing down. Can you give me some more info on this, please? I need some more info. And then I'll pull another card. And most of the time together, I'm like, okay, I get it now. They'll
Hmm.
give me something that kind of helps the jar the other one to start flowing, or I'm
Right.
like, "Oh, I see, I see." And I also like to do this thing called dueling decks. I do with my 2 tarot decks. I'll sometimes ask a question and pull from 2 different decks on it. That's also gives you more information, and sometimes I'll get the same card in different
Interesting.
decks, right?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
Queen of Wands, I'm like, "Okay, so this is the same card in 2 different decks." You know, because 'cause I'm like, "They really want you to know that this is, like, the outcome here." So that's really fun. Um, yeah, or you can try rephrasing the question, but if you phrase the question right the first time, you're gonna get a clear answer. It's when you kind of phrase it like, also, one tip, don't say, "Should I do this or that?" And then
Mm,
shuffle. Go with, what is the energy around doing this?" Shuffle. Okay. What,
mhm.
and then pull. What is the energy around doing that? Make sure you separate them. 'Em. Don't put
Okay.
2 questions in one because your team's gonna be like, "Dude, come on."
Mm,
Like, what you want here? I can't answer, like, you gotta give me something. You gotta really phrase the question so that you can have a clear outcome.
yes. Okay.
So that's really what I have.
All
That was
right.
like a 2-hour class I taught in a nutshell.
Well, I loved it. I really appreciate all the information and insights and just, I I know it's helpful for me, I think, in just learning or getting my feet wet in using cards more intuitively. And
Mhm.
I I'm hoping that really helps others who are in the same boat as well. And so before we go, what about using the intuition, or then for the person, your client, in
Mhm.
receiving the reading, how can how can you further your guidance from that?
I'm not
Um,
sure what you're asking, sorry.
well, like I would think, I don't, and maybe it's not a good question, right? I would think if you would read for me, then I would say, well, how can I use that further, or is there more that I can see in there? Because I don't know. Uh, I guess I don't know for sure what I'm asking either.
It might
Um,
depend on, like, so are you thinking in terms of I'm doing soul coaching and I'm just like, "Okay, this is the advice your spirit team has for you," or "This is what your higher self wants you to know." Are
oh,
you
maybe
thinking in
so.
terms of taking the steps?
Yeah, I suppose so. Um,
Well, I always
yeah,
suggest people
yeah.
get their readings recorded because that way they can go back and listen to them. I record all my readings, so that's why Jennifer and I send each other voicemails. So we have like them on record. So I always suggest going back and listening to them. Um, if you wanted to further it, I always kind of suggest people to get a deck and pull on it. You can go home and pull on, like, okay, would, like, give me the energy around Kyle's reading, or that kind of thing. I
Okay.
suggest people should pull a card a day and journal on it, and just like, what I need to know for today, or ask a question a day. And it just helps strengthen your intuition, that kind of thing.
Okay. I This year I'm doing something a little different. I got it on in an email like on December 31st, and it's using astrology, a tarot deck by your moon sign
Oh,
instead of the
cool.
sun sign. And yeah, it's been cool, but it's like, and sometimes you get a tarot in the email every day, you get a spread to draw from, and the message for today that's lined up with your moon sign for the
Hmm.
year. And so
That's cool.
yeah, it's been really cool. But sometimes it's like the card I draw, it's like that's so totally off the wall. Like, it just seems that there's
Mm.
no message in it for me.
Have you tried, like, journaling with it, or,
No, no, I
just sitting
haven't.
with it? So sometimes I'll take a picture, like, if I pull a card and I have to go somewhere, I'll take a picture and I'll look at it later and I'll see, like, after I've kind of had time for it to marinate, and
Mm,
see if anything jumps out at me. Or like I said, like, if it's, I know you said you get a card of the day, but if it doesn't jive, try a clarifier card.
okay, it's like
That really
draw
helps
again.
because that will just be like, "Okay, I'm not really understanding the message here. Can you give me something else? Please give me something else to kinda help clarify, like, what I need to know."
Hmm, okay.
That's an interesting thing. You said it's a course you did?
It's not really a course, it was like a ClickBank thing.
Oh.
A product, that I
Mhm.
got, I don't even know how it showed up in my email, but I was looking for something different because the
Oh,
program I'd used for the past year had come to an end, and I was
mhm.
looking for a guidance thing to use throughout the year, and that seemed really right on target. And so I think I can send you a link. Can probably
Oh,
find one. Yeah, it was pretty inexpensive. I can't remember now. Um,
do they
yeah,
ever offer
it was
anything on
under $50, I
oh,
think.
nice.
Yeah.
Do they ever offer anything, it might be the same group, on your rising sign? Because your rising sign, you should bring Jennifer on for astrology, she's the astrology queen, but your rising sign actually is like your sun sign is how, like, you but your rising sign is, sometimes even more impactful than your sun sign, because it's,
Yeah.
like, where it was at the time of your birth, and I'm a Capricorn sun, but I'm a Leo rising, and I'm a lot of Leo. Like, most Capricorns would not be on this podcast with you being like, "Woo," and, like, showing themselves to the world. That's very Leo energy. So,
Okay.
maybe if the moon isn't resonating with you, then maybe your rising sign would, because our rising sign is, like,
Okay.
very much like our personality,
Okay, that's
you
interesting.
know?
Yeah, so do a second card,
Yeah, maybe
asking
check
for
out
the rising thing or
I
something.
would check that
Interesting.
out. Find out what your rising sign is. You can get like free charts. I know Yasmin Boland. She's a Hay House astrologer. She has a great website where you can get a free chart, very detailed. Or the Pattern. The Pattern app has a free. You can get your chart, and it will give you like all of your different things. And I know I have a lot of Leo energy, which is funny
Mhm.
because I'm a Capricorn, and Capricorns are usually like like
Right.
taskmasters, and but I have a lot of I have a good balance. I like a good both, which is cool. I learned, and I didn't learn that until like a couple of years ago. I'm like, why am I so not Capricorn? I like to
Right.
be the center of attention. Capricorns do not. And I was like, oh, because I'm a Leo rising. Okay. That makes sense.
Uh, yeah, it's interesting. I'm having a lady on next week that's a master
Oh,
astrologer,
cool.
and I'm looking forward to hearing things she says, because just in our conversation we were having yesterday, I met with her on a Zoom call just to see if she had some questions about, well, the
Hmm.
podcast or what we did or whatever, and it was like there's so many things I don't know about astrology, and how you can all see that in your natal chart, and but it explains, like you said, different things of
Hmm.
why I did this, right? And oh yeah, because it was the moon sign in me, or like you said, the rising in you that would pull
Hmm.
you in certain ways.
I
So
think your
very
moon is your emotions, right? I'm not the
yes,
great.
passions and
I
desires.
know a little bit of astrology. I usually go to Jennifer for my astro question. She is so
Hmm.
good. she she's done my chart and stuff, so she's really good, and she knows all that. She'll be like, "Okay, you're struggling because Jupiter is just a big old bowling ball in your way right now, and you're gonna have some issues till August. And once August is done, things are gonna open up." And I was like, "Cool, cool, cool, cool." So she does, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
She can look at everything and be like, "This is why you're struggling here, and this is why I have so much Virgo in my chart. I have like 6 things in Virgo." So she's like, "That is why you're so hard on yourself." Okay, and but I don't Virgo is not my rising or my sun sign, but I have like
Hmm.
6 things in Virgo. And
Ah,
that's why
yeah. Hmm.
I'm like really hard on myself. I'm a people pleaser. It's like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Yeah, that tracks. Yep. Now I know why you are the way you are." Like so it's just
Oh,
really
very good.
fascinating stuff. I'll have to tune into that one or try to catch it after. I love learning about that. It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, and then you could try, you have an astrology tarot deck, you said?
I
Or
don't, but
you
there
don't?
is one.
And so once melding the 2 together, then I could see could be very powerful then, huh?
Yep, I know, I use it for timing. So my deck that I have has a astro signs in it, like, the
Mhm.
Lovers card has the Gemini sign in it. Pisces is in there, like, all the different signs are in the different cards, so when I see it, that helps me with timing or personality traits, or, like, if they're looking at a partner, I'll be like, "Oh, is this person an Aries? Because I'm getting Aries energy." That's how I do that. That's how I use astrology right now, but the more I learn, yeah, I can absolutely start incorporating it. There's lots of cool astro decks out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there is. So, Kyle, in the last few minutes here, can you tell people more about your offerings? I noticed you offered a special to
Yeah.
viewers as well as just what you normally do, but and then how they can reach you.
Yep. So you can reach me on my website. It's just kyletreescranston.com. I also have I'm on Instagram, just Kyle Trees Cranston. I'm on Facebook, Kyle Trees Cranston. I try to keep it in. I'm on YouTube, but I don't do much on there. I need to start doing more on there. You can find me in any of those forums. And I think, was it 20%?
20 or 25. It'll be
I
in the
can't remember.
description
Oh,
below.
cool. I can't
Yeah.
remember. So I'm giving a discount to anybody that, any clients that come my way after listening to this. It's good through the end of the year. Even if you book before the end of the year, but you book into next year, that's fine too. So just the way I do bookings is you just email me and because I don't I know a lot of people have like Calendarly or whatever, and you could just set up your time. I have two little kids and like so I have to kind of we have to find times that work for both of us. I don't have like an open calendar just yet. That's
Yeah.
the dream someday. But yeah, just message me and we'll set up a time. I do, like I said, I consider it spiritual consulting because I don't just do tarot, I don't just do oracle, I don't just do angel, I do it all. So like a reading with me would be like we would look at, whatever you want to look at, energies around different things, relationships, career, that kind of stuff. And then we can look at different outcomes for things. If you're struggling, we can look at obstacles. I also do shadow work, help people with shadow work, which would be a good topic. Good topic for you. I taught a class on that with a friend from Topeka. That was really
Okay.
cool. Do you know Megan from the fairs? She and I taught a shadow work class at Village Witch in March.
Well, depends on, I don't know which Megan, I guess.
She owns the apothecary.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
she was a guest here on the show. Yeah.
she's
Yeah, she
amazing. So she
she
taught it.
is. It was amazing. I went to order some of her products. I
Oh, it's
haven't got around to doing that yet, but man, they look awesome.
I have her floor cleaner and Mojo spray or Good Juju spray. I have a bunch of her stuff. So so we did a shadow work class. I do shadow work where I'll help people like with obstacles and like they have like journal prompts in the deck. I do and I consider it spiritual consulting. So I kind of do it all. And then I also do a different type of reading it's called Angel Tarot and Mediumship. So I do mediumship, but I do it a different way than your average medium. I use angel tarot cards to do it. And that's how I use Archangel Azrael. I connect with him and then he gets me the person they want to connect with. And then I do pull cards to get personality traits. It's my vessel. It's my tool, and I start getting personality traits about the person or how they died. I'll start to hear, see, and feel things. And then I'll confirm that's the person. I'll ask different questions to confirm that's the person. And then I get messages and you can ask them
Mhm,
questions that way. So I just do it a little different. It's cool. I love it. I love
mhm.
how, it's different, but it works for me.
Right.
And then, and then I incorporate like angel numerology and all kinds of different things in my readings. So
Very cool. Very cool.
yeah.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much. I was going to put my little some
Mhm.
subscribe for people if you haven't already to help the channel grow. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And Kyle, thank you again for being with us. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you. It was
And
good to see you.
I'm sorry. And I was also going to say in a few weeks, right in May, Kyle comes back with her friend Jennifer, who was a guest on the podcast in December. And we're going to have a great conversation about a different topic. So
My sister from another mister. Can't wait.
that's right. All righty. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.